Hello and welcome to Finding Your Frequency. I'm Brian Sexton, joined today by my friend Tom Nolan from Ascendo Resources. Hey buddy, how are you?
Doing great, Brian.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
It's been a while.
It has.
Life is treating you well?
Very well.
I know that you're having great success, and you have pillars to the success.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with us the things that are so important to your success at Ascendo?
Well, the three pillars that we try to live by at Ascendo. First one is hard work, right? That grit, working hard for our customers and our clients. The second one is having fun, because you're at your job majority of the time, right? So might as well have fun with the people you're around. And then most importantly, which I think we do really well, is giving back to the community. So we partner with a lot of nonprofits here in town, giving our time, talent, and resources. And so with those three things, we're able to build a sustainable company that is successful, but then also brings that success in the community too.
So how do you take the success when you're dealing with putting people in different places all the time? How are you consistent in your business? I've always wondered that, because you're dealing with different people, you're dealing with different clients. How do you do the same things that make you successful over and over?
It is a unique business, right? Because our products, which are people, are ever-changing and different. So it really comes down to the processes that we put in place, right? And consistently, from a screening process, the questions that we ask, because really we're like investigators, right? We're trying to figure out who you are and where you're going to be best fitted with our client, which is also unique because each company is different too. So being able to have those skills to inquire the knowledge, to be a lot of questions.
Are they
like
skills, or is it something that's innate?
It's both sometimes.
Okay.
So yeah, because if you think about the different companies out there, some people might just hire based on competencies and not on a skill set, because they can train you, right? So maybe we're screening for those sort of things, your work ethic, your personality, your customer service skills. So there's a lot of different things that go into it, which is also kind of the fun part, because there's never a dull moment, and there's never a same day situation.
You've done this a long time, but even with the success that you've had and the longevity that you've had, I'm sure you've been fooled once or twice.
It happens on occasion.
Yeah?
It happens on occasion.
Now, how do you learn from that?
So it's like anything else, right? You kind of debrief and you go back. Was there a step that we missed? Was there a question we didn't ask? Was there an assumption we made? Because a lot of times it's just not asking enough questions or digging in deep enough, maybe, right? So those are the sort of things that you try to find out. And those are the things that I also teach my team too, because we got a lot of recruiters that are starting in this business, and they might not have seen the things I have. So I'll ask them some questions that they maybe not have thought of.
Do you take work with you wherever you go? In other words, are you an investigator with your kids, with your wife, at Home Depot, wherever you might be, a great investigator? To the point that people are like, will he just stop with the waitress,
It's funny because a lot of my friends are like, how come you know what everyone does in town, right? Or you know everybody. Well, because I'm always asking them, hey, what do you do? What's your line of work? What's your business? And really kind of inquiring about what they do. And so I do that with everybody. And then also, potentially kind of interviewing people, like you mentioned, the waiter or the bartender.
Oh, absolutely. What bourbon are you using in that? And what is it a Luxardo cherry? I mean, am I getting the real deal here?
Exactly.
People will say, Brian, you're a little bit over the top. Well, I ask questions for a living, which is obviously what you do too. How about the questions that you get from your clients? Tell me about those. I mean, when people are, how does the conversation go when someone says, hey, I need help finding someone? Are you leading the conversation, or are they telling you?
We like to, a little bit of both,
Okay.
but we also like to lead them a little bit too, because we like to provide our expert knowledge, right? We've hired thousands and thousands of people. We've seen all different scenarios. So when we want to really kind of dive into not only what their need is, but also probably ask them some questions maybe they didn't even think about. Because you may say, Tom, I need this person to do A, B, C, and D, and I might say, hey, have you thought about E and F and everything else, and these sort of things. So we'll do a lot of that. The other thing we get to with probably any business is, why us? Why Ascendo Resources? And there's a lot of other companies that do similar work that we do in the recruiting world, but that's where we, let them know, as far as it's not only our experience, it's the service that we provide, all the different things that you're buying from us, right? So when you engage Ascendo Resources, you engage Tom Nolan, you engage one of our other partners. So that's the expertise that we bring to the table.
And you're fun.
Yeah,
that matters, right? Yeah. That matters. So I like to ask a couple of leading questions. Here I'm going to investigate you at the end of the show. You've had great success. Can you share a defining moment that helped you find your frequency, right? Dial in on those pillars of success and yourself and your business.
Yeah. So, early in my career, I've had success. I worked with several large companies here in town, and one in particular was worked for about 10 years. And then all of a sudden, there was a buyout, and I had a transition in my career. So it's almost like you lost your identity because you were so tied to that organization.
Right.
So really had to take a step back and say, okay, who is Tom Nolan? What do I bring to the table? What can I help people with? And so at that point, I pivoted, I guess, stayed within the industry, but went on my own for a little while, which was great. So instead of being part of a large organization, having to kind of take that leap of faith was huge for me. It also showed, the determination you had to get to accomplish that goal,
right.
and really that self-reliance and grit was something that I learned from that experience.
I talk all the time about, who are you, who am I, who do I want to be, right? And then what am I willing to do to get there?
Of course.
And I obviously had my obstacles in my career. Is there an obstacle that you can point to, a challenge that you had to overcome, and how you did it?
So I think it goes back to, starting my own business for a little while, which actually the challenge was just taking that leap of faith. Because I think a lot of times it's having the confidence and believing in yourself, right? It's really easy when you have a large team behind you. I would say it's easy, but it's easier, right? Sure. So being able to do that, and that actually led into that success. I got noticed by another individual here in town that was kind of starting a business too, which led to them saying, hey, Tom, you want to come work with us? And the timing was right. So that leap of faith led into other leaps of faith, but those were easier to take because I'd already been through the harder part, and it was actually great because that group had a few more resources and everything else, and I was like, wow, if I can do it on my own, now what can I do, knowing what I can do with these resources as well. So that was a huge pivot point, and then working in that entrepreneurial environment was amazing because it's whatever it takes to get it done. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And which
there's no falling back on. No. Anything else.
No plan B.
If it is to be, it's up to me, right?
Exactly.
And that might be the piece of advice, but I ask folks to share a piece of advice for someone who maybe is trying to figure out who am I and where am I going?
Yep. And we see that a lot too, especially people that are transitioning in their career or have been reduced in the workforce and have lost their job, right? That's a tough thing to go through, right? And so what I always tell people is, listen, it's not your fault, right? Don't take it personal. Right. And now it's your job to find a job. And you have to use all the resources you have, your network. You have to put yourself out there now. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to do that, especially as they're transitioning in their career, is to say, to your point, what's the value I bring? And so you have to really get that self-awareness of who you are and then be able to present that and then not be afraid to ask for help. And say, hey, Brian, I'm going through a career change right now. Is there anyone you know that could help me out? I do A, B, C, and D, and this is what I'm looking to do. Some people are afraid to ask for help, and I think if you're in that position, you should. Contact someone like us to help you from a standpoint, or your network and friends. So that's a challenge for me.
I'm not afraid to ask for help. I asked you to help me by coming to being on the show, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate it as
well.
We're
going to put it in the show notes, but where do people find you?
So you can find us at ascendoresources.com. Yep. Also LinkedIn. We're heavy LinkedIn users.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense.
You can sometimes find me on the ball fields announcing in sporting events and things
like that. Providence Stallions.
That is correct.
Are we not?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
We go back a long way in the football world. Shake your hand one more time, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time right here on FYF, Finding Your Frequency.